everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is your Honest Fashion Academy. My name is Justice. So to draft this mid-bust corset, I'm dividing my paper into two, which is going to serve as the front and back on the same paper. So this part is going to serve as my front pattern, and from the shoulder line I'm going to mark the length of the corset. Now you know that the length of the corset should not be too long, right? So wherever you want it to stop, you mark, then shoulder to waist, shoulder to under bust, and shoulder to bust lines. So we're going to square these lines across. All of them are going to square them across. Shoulder to bust, shoulder to under bust, shoulder to waistline, shoulder to length of the corset, which is about 6 or 7 inches from the waistline, depending on how long you want it to. Okay, so from the bust line, I'm going to mark 1.5 inches to get my chest line. 1.5 inches up to get my chest line, or better still, measure bust divide by 6 plus 1.5 to get your chest line. Now for the basic neckline, I'm going to be marking 3 by 3, and then my shoulder divide by 2, right? The front shoulder is slanted by 1.5 inches connected to the armhole. As you can see, I marked all of this without realizing that my camera was not recording. I believe we should know how to do this armhole by now if you watched the previous videos. Now I marked my basic waist measure, that ½ inch on both sides, and then on the under bust I marked 1 inch out on the 1 inch out, and then ½ inch on the other side from the basic dart leg, right? So altogether I should be having like 2.5 inches for a bust of 38. So I'm going to connect it to the hip line like so. I want to close it up. As you can see, I'm closing it up this way, and then I'll mark the other side and also close it up at the hip line. I mean the length of the corset, right? So now I'm going to mark at the under bust. I will exclude the dart and then mark the size of my under bust. Remember that we're not snatching the under bust, we're only snatching the waistline, right? So I'll connect that to my bust measurement. And then the waistline is 32, and I've minus 2 inches before drafting with 30 inches. I'll skip the dart and mark the 30 inches. I've snatched 2 inches away. I did not include it in the measurements. Okay, so that's just a simple way of snatching your waistline. So I'm going to connect this to my waistline as well. All right. So this is how it is. Now, if you don't want this curve, you can simply blend it. At the hip line, I'm going to divide my hip by 4 and mark, and I'll equally connect it to my waistline. So this is what we have now. If you want the hip to be exaggerated, all you have to do is to add more. Now I'm connecting my bust dart, which is the difference between the back half length and front half length, 1.2 inches according to my measurements. And I'll connect it this way. You can see the way it's looking. So this is just what we have. This is not difficult to do. Anybody can actually do it. Okay, so for the hem styling, you're going to determine how to style this. As you can see, you just make your curve, right? Now at the side, I'm adding 1.5 inches at the hip side because I want it more exaggerated. So I'm adding 1.5 inches, and I'll make my connection this way. So this is a symmetric styling because what you find on one side is what you're going to also find on the other side. Now we are going over to the upper part. Now for this upper part, I'll divide my shoulder into two and connect to the bust point, like so. Okay, from the bust line, I will go up by 2 inches. It depends on how high you want it. 2 inches, and I'll connect towards the bust point. But I think I later shifted my hands. Okay, so connect it. This is for the men corset, not the bustier. This is for the funnel or mid bust corset, not the bustier. So I'm drawing the lines the way I want. You just have to come down and create a style, right? This is just an illustration of how to go about this, and you can also create any design of your choice. So this is me trying to draw the lines and then back into the armhole. If you think the opening is not much, you can always shift your hands towards the armhole. Now to tighten for our bustier, the one that will be inside, I'll mark the line where I want the bustier to stop, and I'll tighten it by 0.75 on both sides and connect to my bust points, right? I'm using pencil to do this so that once I get what I want, I can now use my marker to do it. Excuse me. So I'll fold the dart over like this. I'll fold it over, and then so that I'll be able to draw the style line for the post here. I'll be able to draw the style line for the post here. You can use your pin to pin it down so that it will be easy for you to draw the style line. So this is what I'm going to draw from one point. I'll come up by how I want it to be. Okay, so I'll make my connections this way and back to the upper part, the length where I want it. So basically, once you tighten your bust, you tighten your upper bust, you can close it and draw any shape of your choice. So I think the opening for the mid bust is quite close by, so I decided to open it more. I decided to open it more so that the bustier will have space to show itself, right? The bustier will have space to show it well. So if you're drawing and you're not getting it, your eraser is there to help and do the work. It's not a crime, and that is the reason I have to use the pencil so that I'll be able to get the drawing that I want perfectly before using the marker to draw it. So better still leave it with the pencil since it's visible. Okay, so after drawing what we need, I will then go over, use my tracing wheel and trace out the bustier, and then cut away the mid bust corset. All right, cut away the mid bust corset after tracing out. To make it easier for you to trace, you're going to add fabric underneath. We're tracing from the under bust. We are tracing from the under bust. Okay, you don't trace only the upper part. From the under bust, that is where the poster is going to be. Add fabric under the paper that is under the main paper, so that the tracing is going to show very well for you. Okay, so I finished tracing it out, and then I'm going to highlight it. As you can see, this is what we've traced. So all you have to do is cut it, and then we can now use it to cut on our fabric, and we continue. So after cutting, I'm going to place it on the main pattern. You can see the way it is. You're placing it on the main pattern both sides. Now after placing, if you notice that there is any part that you need to extend more, this is an avenue for, if the armhole is going to be open, this is an avenue for you to close it up, add extra paper and connect it to the way that you want. Okay, so after this now, before I cut, we're going to draft the back. So this is for the back. I'm just going to extend the armhole line towards the back, since we don't actually need the upper part. except you want to have a yoke, then you can use the upper part to get your yoke. Then I'm going to mark my shoulder to waist for the back, and then the length of the back, which is minus 1.2 inches that we use for the bust dart in front. Okay, I will mark my bust divide by 4 for the back, waist divide by 4. Remember, we've minus 2 inches for snatching, 32 minus 2, and we're left with 30, which is what we are working with. Then the hip, I'm going to divide by 4 and then add the 1.5 inches that we added to the front hip line before connecting. So at the center back, I'll go in by 2 inches. This is going to be cut away, and it's going to serve as a room for us to lace the back very tightly, and of course have some opening at the back since we do not want it to close up entirely. This will help to have some opening at the back. Okay, so I'm going to connect from waist to the hip line. At the back, we're not having any darts. We're not going to be having any darts at the back. Okay, so this is all we have for the back side, right? And so I'm going to just cut it and then we'll put everything together. So after cutting out, don't forget to close your bust darts, right? Bust that for the front, for the bustier as well as the main corset. So you can now trim the sides if it's not giving what you want. You can just trim it a bit. So this is the front. You can see the two bustiers. This is how they are looking. And put together, this is what we have. The shaded part is the bustier, while the one on top is the funnel or mid-bust corset. Okay, and this is the back. Thank you so much for watching up to this point. If you have any question, you can do what to ask in the comment section. Bye.